All right, guys. Pops went down. Full crisis situation. You guys know I'm taking you along on this ride all the way from the highs to the lows. So whether I'm out in California visiting my sister, figuring out what to do to get the workouts in, to stay focused on getting this one arm pull up, or I'm dealing with a medical situation, or my father's gone and fallen down in a medical situation. Life happens. That's just the way it really truly is when it comes to chasing a fitness goal, and that's what we're doing. We are live action chasing a fitness goal. So the highs and the lows, we're going to keep on rolling. Now, I did still get in all of the set workouts that I had scheduled for the one arm pull up mission. However, all the other workouts, they got sidelined that I normally do. Just wasn't happening. And then the ones that I did get in here as far as for the one arm pull up, it was like whenever I could get them in, I was getting them. So they weren't on the set scheduled days because of the whole situation where I was basically like living at the hospital pretty much, sleeping at the hospital pretty much. That's how it rolls. So the workouts were not ideal, but I still got them done. I still got them in. Probably minimal food, minimal sleep, but you got to do what you got to do. You got to just keep it pushing. So let's get into the good stuff and get into these workouts. Okay, this is where it's getting interesting because what I'm seeing is that the weighted pull-ups, will they translate over? Yeah, they might translate over, but they're not really translating over because when I'm doing those single arm pull-up specific days, it's just not feeling like there's any way that just purely focusing so much like I am doing on the two-armed weighted pull-up is going to translate over to this single arm pull-up. It's just a totally different feeling in the everything from like the lowering down and the attempted lock-offs to the one-arm assisted pull-ups to all of that. The whole way it hits with the muscle in the bicep just feels different than those weighted pull-ups. That's the best way I could explain it. So instead of doing what I've been doing as far as the 2 days a week purely on those weighted pull-ups, one day specified for the one arm pull-up work, I'm going to do one arm pull-up work on one day, two arm weighted pull-ups on another day, and another day of the two combined. So it's going to kind of spread it out a little bit that way. Instead of being 2 and 1, it's now going to be like one solid for each and then a split job on the other one. So I think maybe that'll help out here. Now, what I'm finding on this single arm day is that I might have too many different exercises on this thing. So I might have to play with that with the splitting. But the lock-offs that I'm attempting to do, where I'm like spotting myself with the offhand to kind of slow down the lowering phase, feels like that's going to be an extremely good one. Also, I'm thinking that the one where I'm grabbing on hammer grip style and I'm using my two fingers to like spot pull, that one feels really good. So those two, and I don't know if that one's exactly giving me the benefits of like the twisting motion I would like into it. I'm trying to focus on that while I'm doing it, but it just gives a good feeling in that full range pull where you can kind of like feel the lat muscle pulling and then kind of shifting over. So I'm kind of like a lot of like mind muscle as I'm making that pull, but that also feels like it's going to be pretty useful and practical. Of course, the banded pull-ups, which I'm still working on those because to me, I know everybody and everything I've seen says that that's one of like the real gold standards to it. However, the form just doesn't seem right because one arm's like pushing down and it seems like from everything I'm watching that you want more of like an upward drive with that offside shoulder. So I've got to play with that a little bit more. But the two finger things, the lock offs. I've also added in those reverse grip curls to try to work more of the brachial and the forearm to build that for, because it just seems like it's just in the one arm pull up. So I'm adding those in a lot more and tinkering away, figuring it out. I'll show you guys everything in an example of like exactly the exercises I'm doing. I'll stick it somewhere in here, but that's what we're working on right now. Single arm hangs are definitely going to stay also, and the two arm lock off that I was doing and playing around with, I don't know if I'm going to bother with that one that much, because I think I'm going to try to make it where mainly the only two arm stuff I'm doing is that weighted pull up stuff, because I think that's really like more the bang for the buck. And when it comes to anything that's going to be like single arm lock off style, that's really where I want to be. So wasting the energy or wasting the time on trying to do it with the two arms, I think that's going to get cut. The single arm scalp pulls, definitely staying. Fully believe in those. I'm doing a little bit of a spot with them so I can get a little bit better of a pull up with them. But those are definitely, I believe, a rock solid one, especially to try to help build that like launch up out of the bottom. I might have to work on some kind of form, because it seems like maybe there's some way I could use my legs to help kind of kip that thing up. I mean, I'm just about getting this chin over that bar. All that perfect ideal form. This is Operation Get Her Done, baby. Those single arm hangs are definitely going to stay in the game. I'm going to work more on those with I'm going to play with those a little bit. And for just helping to keep the elbows, grooves, greased, all that good stuff, those banded tricep extensions going down. Thank you to Spencer Graziano over at his channel. He had given me that advice on, because I was saying my elbows were starting to bother me a little bit, and he was saying, dude, hit some of those banded tricep extensions afterwards. That should help you out. Rock solid is definitely helping. Appreciate you there.
I'm not going to go too deep into the whole weighted pull-up part of this thing, because I've already in my last video talked about the whole changeover from the Russian training method to the now pyramid method. It seems like this pyramid is going pretty well, so I'm going to just keep working it, and we will know how it looks the next time I'm going to be testing, which will probably be in about maybe 4 weeks. I say I'd give it at least a good 6-week run. The only other thing besides these weighted pull-ups that are really getting done on the weighted pull-up day that you guys already haven't seen is I've been doing explosive pull-ups also, low rep, maximum altitude, and just ripping it. So also working those for some of that explosive strength. Speed work, always a good thing.
At the end of the day, the absolute best news for these last 2 weeks is that the old Pops has got pacemaker in. He's out of the hospital. He's doing good. That is number one. Number two is, if you're enjoying this series, check out over here. I've got a link to where you can go and check out the entire one-arm pull-up playlist. And other than that, peace, love, joy, prosperity, all that good stuff. Stay healthy, my friends. I will see you guys in the next one.